Welcome back, it's your lousy Florida travelers. Look who it brought with me. We back down here at the Adams Beach. What brought us back today? Several people reached out after that last video, as well as a local historian provided me with some maps, some details, some pictures. I'm very grateful for that. And some other individuals reached out with some information they had. So that brings us here today. I was able to look at a piece of paper that was wrote by Mrs. Shirley Titus. Appears it was the draft maybe for an article that was published in a paper. Apparently it was sometime around the late 60s, I believe 67, 68. She had actually come down here. She mentioned several historical names from this area. Talks about standing on a porch and being able to see the salt works and finding a kettle. You see this picture, this is the kettle she found. You see this picture, these are the wells with the remnants. They had actually dug down in these to see if the wood was still solid. As well as in this hand-drawn map that was provided to me, you can see where the cottages were located. So we're going to go back down today, we're going to see if we can find them. In her research, interesting to note, she had done her footwork, not just on the ground, but in the books too. She had talked to Mr. Franklin and Miss Mary Inman down here, who I believe is a descendant of the Howard family. They had steered her into places, and also a gentleman by the name of Mr. Snowden Howe. She also was able to track down and match to some of the attacks that had happened here. Mr. Howe, curiously, said that he remembers on H Creek, when he was a child, the salt works still being in operation by private industry. Now we know that salt works went on a lot of times, a lot after they dated after the Civil War. Salt works were not just because of the Civil War. See, before the Civil War, there was a lot of trade going on. Ships used ballast in their salt from overseas where it was readily obtainable. They could come here and sell it. It was a barter trade for next to nothing. Once the war started, that kind of disappeared. Well, salt was a necessity. There was no refrigerator. So just to cut to the chase here, she identified over 25 places that's on this side toward Jabo that were part of that salt works. So we know that we're going to be looking for part of that, but we're also going to be looking for the remnants of that well. Maybe we'll even walk up on a salt kettle. You never know, so let's get on down there and see what we can get rolling. So as we're walking down the beach, we're hunting a spot to slip in. We're going to slip into these trees first. This is the first clump. I'm actually standing on the Jabo side and Adams Beach is that way. We had to kind of hurry to get in here. The tide was coming in. But as we got in here, based on the pictures, and I don't have them with me, so I'll try to identify them as I edit this video, and I'll write in what I think is what. To the ordinary eye, you just figure them's a couple stumps if you just seen one or two. But if you look, and there's more in the grass, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 in a perfect line. You have the same beside it, then there's some back there. So we know this was part of something. I'm guessing part of the resort. So we'll compare that in the pictures and I'll link that in. Up there is where we were standing and I showed you the piers. Just to show you, there's piers all back here. And they're hidden in the grass. So let's slip back up right here. So right now, we're on this section of the map, right here by the road. We're actually hunting these two shacks. See if we can find any posts or any remnants.
So we're in here looking for these shacks. The area is a little too thick, so we're gonna just do a walk around, see if we can see anything.
So as we're walking here, we notice in the ground what appears to be either an old fire line or something. We followed our push spot to here and there's a hill. I don't know, this was probably something years later when they were down here doing some road work or something. Check it out though. Looks like it's been pushed up for a while due to the fact those cabbages are growing out of it. Anyhow, that's not what we're looking for. So we've kind of walked this area. We found a couple probable spots. We haven't found any telltale sign. So we're gonna move on to the next head. So that's where we just come from. There's the post that I showed you before we went in So we're just gonna slip down now and try to find some paths into the edges of these. I believe probably the area she was talking about seeing places from is over there. So we're gonna work our way around to that point. So coming down the trail, sure enough, we have found the salt works on this side of the remnant. So Miss Titus did know what she was talking about. She visited perhaps this same one. What we're hunting today, even though it's a long shot, she found a pot here, not on this one, but on this side somewhere, in 1968. We're gonna walk up on these like I did the other one. My hope is that even though I figure it's probably been added in somebody's collection, maybe we can find the same pot she found today. Or maybe we might even find the old wells that she found. That's what we're really looking for, just to see if we can locate the same stuff she did. Interesting to me though, because I never knew there were salt works on this side. So I don't really see a whole lot laying out. Also, I'm looking at these rocks since we found that other one that had the initials carved in it on that other one. Just for a reference point, Adams Beach is that way. First trailhead we hit is that way. The piers we found are that way. We eased down the trail, slipping off into the wood. The rock pile we was just at was there. We're gonna ease up in here and see if there's anything in this one. We found nothing in that head. That's the one we had looked at and found the rocks. We're gonna hit this big hammock. So as we're slipping around this island hammock, we're checking all the little spots. We've come up on another spot here. Miss Traveler couldn't wait. She's already up in there.
There's a tree growing in the middle of it.
And ones on the other side, they some big trees in them. Let's see what we see here. Not a whole lot. Don't see nothing carved at first glance. So, move on. We'll go check that out there now since we just closed. And then we're gonna keep coming back around and try to slip up in that hammock. So before we work the island, we just come off of that one. Miss Traveler found another patch there we're gonna run check out. So as we're closing in, there ain't no doubt that is what that is. It's another mound with the rocks. So big and too. Just in relation. Adams Beach is that way, the way we come in. That's the little island we're trying to work to. And all these other places that you're seeing are just dotted around it. So here's yet but another one. Now Miss Titus describes visiting at least 25 of these and said there were still a number of them that she had not visited.
That is cool.
Just like the others. Rocks and pieces of iron left. This was an old big one. And I don't know, but after I found that name or them initials carved in that rock or whatever that was carved, now I can't help but look at the rock. This is quite a large one.
There's a way to get in here.
Is there? So let me get back up off of it and I'll give you a better shot of the whole mound. Get over here. Look like a good way up into the island. That's the one we just come off of. We're gonna go to that one in a little bit, but for now, we're gonna slip up in here and check out this hammock that's out in the middle.
Don't stand behind me, you're gonna stab me.
I'm looking for you, baby. Let's see. Looks like this might be about our best bet. You're looking for snakes, beautiful. Usually second person gets bit. All right. Let's see what we see. Oh, and there's a rock man right inside this head. You can see it.
thing over there.
Milk crate. You know, on these trips, even when you don't find nothing historical, if you just pay attention to the beauty around you,
That's what I like.
it's there. Slow down and take it in and don't focus so much on just the hunt as the adventure. That's the back side of that rock hill that was on there when we come in, I showed you. Look at those Spanish bayonets.
Where?
Right there. 2 of them. So there don't appear to be much else in here. But I would be willing to bet with those Spanish bayonets and the way this is laid out and that salt work there, this was probably a pretty heavily trafficked area at the time because of the cover. Let's slip on to the next spot. Some type of skull. Not really sure. If you know, chime in. All right, we've come through the island. We're back on the side that we started on. That was the very first one we hit. Adams Beach is that way. We're gonna hit all these little clumps out around this little hammock, and then we'll get back toward the tree line. Coming up to another that we believe, yep, this one too.
Yep.
See the rocks and the remnants.
Honey,
Oh.
you're gonna stay.
So we'll walk on through this too. We're gonna go to that one next. Right there and right there. Yet another one we fixing to slip up on and check out. Let's ease up in there. Now this one is the largest pile I've walked up on yet, including on the other side. Yeah, this one is just tremendously larger than any of them I've seen so far. This thing is probably 22 to 25 foot long at least. And at its width, probably 16 to 18 foot. So far, this is the largest mound I've come across down here. We've done everything around the hammock and out this way. We're gonna start over now and work everything between the hammock and the tree line. Wait up, woman. And now that I look at that right there, it kind of got me curious about that old holler back in there. So that's that little holler right there I showed you. We noticed a trail going up into the edge of this. We're gonna slip up and just see if there's anything there. Can't really go any further. We tried to walk the path around, and I believe it leads up to that home. So after running into private land and couldn't go no further on the Jabo side, we're back over here on the other side towards Untitled Beach. Walking the creek here, we found a nice little spring right here. Flowing out both ways, little shelf. Little saltwater creek spring. Found some more bridge piers. See if we can get a little closer to them down there maybe. If we get lucky. Get down here with these piers up. Old tributary running in there. Let's see what we're looking at here. What you reckon is here? I'm guessing just a bridge across here on this creek. These are kind of like the posts we've seen on the other side. Just walk around the bend right here, see what we see. Creek getting a little more defined. Got some creeks running in it. Just guessing. I see some big rocks there falling down the riverbank. And there's the piers. Well, that brings us to the end of our journey today. We didn't get to find the salt kettle. We didn't find the well. But thanks to the information that Miss Titus had gathered and documented, we did figure out there were salt works between Adams Beach and Jabo. And on this side, we did find a new set of piers. So you can't find something every time you go out, but we did accomplish something today. I also believe we found part of the piers for part of the resort that was here, based in off of the map that I got from Mr. Wright. I do believe that's what that was. Even though we didn't find the old shack pilings there in the woods in the beginning, I do believe they're still there. I think that we just got to get in there and look a little more thorough. As always, we appreciate y'all joining us, and y'all have a good evening. Come back next time. We'll take a little trip.